Good evening, it's Liam here with your MU review for Manchester United's 0-0 draw with Chelsea at Old Trafford. And to be honest, at this point, I can start most of my review videos with Manchester United's 0-0 draw with insert opposition name here. But to be perfectly honest, I'm in no position to complain, considering that at least stopped the rot of three consecutive Premier League defeats, four in all competitions. But I think it's more frustrating to draw a game 0-0 when you play well than it is to lose a game 2-0 when you play badly, because if you saw the video that I did after Stoke, I was extremely upset, I was extremely dejected, but I was just the thing I was most upset about was the fact that United at no point looked like they were going to get anything out of the game. This game is much more tangibly disappointing to me because I really, I didn't necessarily go in expecting us to win, but after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, all the way through the game, I thought, come on, score a goal. We're playing well. Let's score a goal. But then I remembered this is United this season, and for whatever reason, when we play badly, we lose, and when we play well, we draw 0-0. And we've got to do something about it. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say Louis van Gaal needs to go. You already know my views on that. I think that, that should only be a last resort and should only be if we've decided that he is not the man to lead us forward. But it's clear from, the performance today that he still has something to give. At least he can motivate the players. The players seemed well up for it today. I thought several players on the pitch had really good games. I also thought several players on the pitch didn't have very good games. But much like Man City a couple of months ago when we played them at Old Trafford, Chelsea were absolute garbage from start to finish, and if we're not beating teams playing well when they're playing badly, then we've got no chance of getting anywhere this season. So diving straight into the game, I thought that, like I said, we were very unlucky at the very beginning of the game. It's a vast improvement from, the last couple of matches that we've had. I mean, if you look at the last three games, obviously we've lost all three of them to lesser opposition. And to be honest, at this point, Chelsea might even come into that category of lesser opposition. They were absolutely awful throughout this game, except maybe defensively. I thought Kurt Zouma was decent. I thought, that's about it really. Thibaut Courtois was good, but apart from that, they were just flat. They didn't look like they even wanted to win the game. They looked like they were sick. They were sent out there to stop us from scoring, and if they score, good. And Gus Hiddink pretty much confirmed that. He said, I would have liked to score a goal, but I'm pretty happy with the result. That tells you all you need to know, that they came here for a draw and they got it. So in that sense, it feels like we've lost 0-0 because we went out there to win and we should have won on several occasions. I mean, Juan Mata, he's been completely anonymous the last month or so, but he had an absolute rasping shot, bounced off the crossbar in the early stages. He was very unlucky. I thought Anthony Martial was really lively, looked really good early on, and he was completely skinning Branislav Ivanovic. He was eating him for breakfast every time he got the ball on the left-hand side. And he had this one beautiful move, 10-15 minutes into the game. I don't know how long it was, but when he cut inside, beat two players and rattled a shot off the inside of the post. I mean, it's just those are the situations where you can't really blame the players, you can't really blame anybody except maybe God, because it's just the footballing gods weren't shining on us today. It was not. We were very unlucky in those two situations. I also thought the referees had a particularly bad game. I think that they did. They gave a lot of soft fouls the way of Chelsea. I thought Hazard had the lumps kicked out of him for the most part, but at the same time, he really did feed into it. And there were a lot of occasions, especially towards the end, where you just thought, come on, ref, could you really have to stop play there? And it's just like he was petering out and just letting it go 0-0. But we were really robbed of the two penalties, and that's the part. That's the main beef I have with the referees. Any of the other decisions, you give or take. But there was a blatant handball in the second half from Willian. All right, I mean, it's not like he meant to handball it, but his arm is, here. It's above his waist, and he's miscontrolled the ball on his knee, and it's bounced and hit his arm, and then he has moved his wrist towards the ball, and then it's hit his wrist. That's a handball. At least that's the way I understand the rule. And I would say that, and say I'm seeing things through red-tinted glasses, but I would say that if it happened at the other end, that looked like a stonewall penalty to me, regardless of the fact that they were playing against us. And I think that we were extremely unlucky not to get a penalty for an absolutely terrible challenge by Cesar Azpilicueta on Juan Mata. I don't know what the linesman on that near side was doing. It was right in front of him, and Azpilicueta got nothing on the ball. And Mata hit it past him. I mean, I know that Mata didn't necessarily have control of the ball when he hit it past him, but Azpilicueta gets absolutely none of the ball, and he goes over in the box, and I don't understand why we didn't get the penalties for those two things. I mean, that aside, we created a lot more chances today. I think only by a miracle did Ander Herrera not score. Another, again, from Anthony Martial, a brilliant ball across the face of goal. Herrera does really, I can't even blame Herrera. He does what he can. He gets in front of his marker and he gets his foot to the ball. But Thibaut Courtois, contortions himself into a way that it hits his chest and doesn't go in. And you just, when things like that happen, it's not going to be your day. Late on, Borthwick Jackson whipped in a fantastic ball. I thought Borthwick Jackson was really good when he came off the bench for, Matteo Darmian, who obviously is coming back from injury, so needed to sort of integrate himself back into full fitness. But it was a fantastic whipped ball in from Borthwick Jackson. And, Wayne Rooney, if he's on good form, he puts that in the back of the net. But he just didn't, there was a lot of pace on the ball and it just sort of hits his foot and goes over. If he gets any sort of direction on that and a firm foot, that's a goal. And you just think, albeit I'll give it to Chelsea. They had several opportunities. How Juan Mata didn't score, I mean, he's got that stupid little mask on, but it looked like it must have been a stormtrooper helmet for him to miss that. He blasted the ball over the top, had no sense of aim with that. And they had a couple more opportunities where David De Gea had to get called in. John Terry could have scored in the opening 5 minutes. Pedro, had a chance that, went down, was going into the bottom corner until De Gea stopped it, and he did well to get the follow-up from Azpilicueta as well. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Chelsea, didn't have opportunities. But for the large part, anyone who watched that game will tell you that United were the better team, and that if you're being honest, they probably deserved to win it. But ultimately, the way things work in football is you don't deserve to win if you can't take your chances. And now, we haven't won a Premier League match since... I'm even struggling, before the Leicester game. You can't even remember who we played, but I think that must have been Watford, I think it was, 21st of November, That's over a month, that's 5-6 weeks we're talking now without a win in the Premiership. Not to mention that 3 of those, 5 games that we've had since then have been defeats. We've got to turn things around. Spurs won in the last minute again today. Which, I mean, say what you want about it. I'm not going to sit here and begrudge Spurs, I don't mind Spurs. I think it's good that they're, playing well, but, we've got to keep up with them. They're 5 points ahead of us now. We were 6 points clear of them a month ago, and now they're 5 points ahead of us. That just shows you how far we've fallen. But, we're behind Crystal Palace now, and West Ham are right behind us, so we need to get wins. And, hopefully, once the new year rolls around, the players can have a bit of a break. It's been a very hectic schedule around this time of year. Who knows, maybe we might have a new manager, whether it's Ryan Giggs, Jose Mourinho, someone else. It may not be Louis van Gaal, is all I'm saying. I personally think we should stick with Van Gaal. I saw enough from the performance today that suggests that the blip in form that we've had is hopefully, knock on wood, just a blip, but we still have those same problems that we had when we were playing, quote unquote, playing well and getting good results, which is the fact that we can't score goals at home. I saw a really frightening statistic today which said that we haven't scored a goal in the first half of a game at Old Trafford since September 30th against Wolfsburg, and that was a penalty. And that is just not on. I'm sorry, Alex Ferguson, I know he's not dead, but he'd turn over in his grave if he was at that kind of statistic. We need to start scoring goals, and there's no reason we shouldn't. We created enough chances today to win the game 5-0. And really just moving forward, that's what I want to see more of. If we can put that much heart and passion and desire into our performances and add that extra layer of finishing and the final pass and that little bit of Manchester United swagger that we have been aching for years now, really. We haven't had it since Fergie left. So all in all, not a terrible, result, but still a very frustrating game and still more ground lost on the people who are in the top 4 and at the top of the table, which is where Manchester United want to be. So my man of the match today, I was going to give it to Anthony Martial, but I have a problem with giving the man of the match to a striker or a forward player when we don't score goals. So I'm going to give it to David De Gea. We very easily could have lost a 4th game in a row if David De Gea hadn't been there for us today. So I'm going to give Spanish Dave the man of the match. What are your thoughts on the game? Chuck a comment on this video. I will respond, have a bit of a debate about it. I'm always very friendly. I'm not going to attack you. Don't worry about it. I always love hearing other people's opinions about Manchester United and, giving mine. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week, hopefully with a better result.